Hello everyone, my name is Gerald Green. What a joy to be with you once again. It's Friday. Happy weekend. Thank God it's Friday. And let's give all the glory and the praise to the Master of the universe. So, this is a very interesting topic because myself, I am in that stage of my life where I'm about embarking on this journey called marriage, and everything on the topic seems to interest me. I've been doing some unearthings and I've been finding uh, trying to find some truths as to why things happen, because of course, as it is normal in this phase or in this stage of life, a lot of doubts, a lot of fear, and a lot of expectations, come about. So why do some ladies marry late or don't even marry, get to marry the right person? And why do some guys marry late or don't marry or even marry the wrong person in the long run? I'm going to give two stories. I'm going to share two stories rather, and then I'll use those stories to break down my points. First of all, I have a colleague in my place of work, a very young, decent, fine gentleman. And some months ago, his fiancée came over, very beautiful, tall, dashing young lady. And after a while, I asked, "What about this young lady?" And he said they're not together anymore. And I'm wondering why. Then he said to me that she left and she says she's not doing anymore. And I mean, it didn't really go down well with me, but I didn't want to dig in. So some days ago, I was talking with one other of my colleagues, and she was narrating to me the actual truth of the whole story. And the lady had gone to see her pastor, and the pastor, had given her revelation that the guy will not be, suitable for her, and the guy is not in the course of the marriage or the wedding when they are married rather. He's not going to be faithful, and he's going to leave her, and all that. So she needs to guard her future jealously, and she needs to make a proper decision. So she then came down here because she doesn't live here. She came down here to see him, and shortly afterwards, 3 months after then, she got married. I'm going to come back to that. Let me go to story number two. Story number two is about a young lady. Yeah, she was in close to her thirties at the time. This is 5 years ago. This was 5 years ago. This young lady this young lady was trusting the Lord to be married. I asked her one of those days after a meeting where a prophet came to the church where I was attending at that time, and called her out and like, what kind of man would you want? Because she was mature already, and then she said she wants somebody big, tall, lanky, somebody this, somebody that. So afterwards, we got talking, and I'm like, so are you trying to say that if you met somebody who was not as tall or as big or that? And she then laughed at no, but well, that's just her preference. And then we got talking deep, and she told me that the guy she almost married was not anywhere near tall, was dark, was not anywhere the specifications that she gave. So I said, "Oh, you were really almost get married. What happened?" And then she told me that just 2 weeks to the wedding, cards have been printed, everything out, preparations made. The guy just came up and called off the wedding. So I was astounded. I was shocked, perplexed to say the least. Why would it have to get so close before that thing happens? You know, and it really, caused a stir in my spirit. And so now that I've gotten to that phase, I began to ask questions. So let's x-ray the first case why some ladies don't get married. Now, this is it. Or why their marriages don't even work. So you love somebody, talking about the lady who loved my colleague, who was in a relationship with my colleague, and she loves him. But maybe because the guy was really young, maybe he was, their age, they were close, they were contemporaries, and then because she's beautiful, many other guys were coming, so she loved this, but she's seen some other guys. She loved him, but she's seen some other people, and maybe those ones may be richer, more handsome, and all that, but then she's in a particular relationship. So fear and doubt will begin creeping. She begins to x-ray. She begins to try to check, and weigh the traits and the character of the individuals, as to try to know which one will really be fit for her in a marriage situation. So because she's confused, she apparently loves the guy, and then there are other guys that are coming around and asking her out, and then, as it is in Nigerian settings, most of the time they will run to their pastor. Now, when you get to the pastor, this is what happens, because I've been there before, you know. And the pastor, it's okay. This is about the relationship I'm in, and the pastor begins to ask you, is the person like this? The person is like that. Okay, the person's fair. The person's young, and all that. But your countenance, the way you presented the case, would also uh, predict the outcome, because the pastor is going to see to it that, yes, and he's going to ask you some questions also, and even if he sees, he's going to see also that you love the person, so he's going to make his judgment based on what he really feels and senses about the person and yourself. So this particular lady had gone there, and of course, this my friend is a young guy like me, and of course he's prone to some excesses. Maybe she had met another mature or more mature person, and she's about trying to make her her judgments. So she would tell the pastor, well, this other guy is young, and yeah, I don't really see this maturity, but there's this other guy, and of course the pastor would, or the man of God or the seer would give you predictions. He may be true, he may be saying the correct thing, but in the long run, it doesn't really, amount. It doesn't really, I mean, bring about a lasting marital journey with whoever you end up with, because there is no marriage that is perfect. So this lady went ahead to marry somebody 3 months after she visited, which means she had made her conclusions and she had come here to make the final seal off, so that there will be no issues tomorrow of maybe I jilted you or all that. But I read in the newspaper reports that a lot of people, a lot of young people have been complaining that they went to Soso Sia, and the person that they really love, the Sia, actually said no to that person, and the person they didn't love, or the person that the seer chose for them, didn't really work out the way they thought it was going to work out. And so they are struggling, they are suffering, life is a misery, they are living in hell. Meanwhile, the person that the seer condemned also has gone on to marry another person, and is enjoying his life, and she's looking from her window and wondering what it would have been if she had just gone on in faith with the other person. So these are the kind of challenges. Now, sometimes when these ladies have entered these marriages because of just hearsay, they they struggle, they suffer. And because they are suffering, they don't do enough to try to make it work. And the whole thing will just dabaru, the whole thing will just end, the whole thing will just fade off. While the other person would go on strong and strong, and it will look like wow. So it happens like that. That's the first one. Then the second one, why will the guy look at the lady and make his conclusions as to marry you, then all of a sudden, 2 weeks of the wedding, just call it off? It is not, far-fetched. Maybe he dreamt, and he's not mature enough in spirituality as to handle such things. Then he just wakes up and calls it off. Maybe he went to a place and they want him, if you marry this girl, you die, or this, and a lot of stuff like that. And he just got scared. And then he made a irrational decision without proper consultations, without even giving the lady fair hearing and all that. Well, I've not had the story, his own side of the story, so I will not be fast to conclude. But I know that these things happen in society where people just stand up and just walk away. Yes, you are free to walk away even if it's a day to the wedding, if you discover some truths that you will not be able to live with, because some people are very hideous in nature. But I'm saying before you even enter this journey, you should do your homework. And that's where I'm going to be concluding. You should do your homework. You should be able to know what you want. You should be able to know why you want. Because a lot of people now, they have a lot of toasters, a lot of admirers, or a lot of girls, and they put them out like that. And all they do is go to men of God to try to see for them. That is balderdash. That is bullshit. That is nonsensical. That is unbiblical. You know, that does not relate well. A lot of all these people, they depend on their parents, their fathers, their mothers to choose for them, or their uncles, their aunts to tell them what they want. They don't walk with any conviction. Maybe they are not even really Holy Spirit led or inspired. That's for those who are Christians. You find that even people in the world, tend to make good choices more than the people in the church because they have convictions and they follow it. Now, I was talking with this senior colleague of mine in respect to the case of this my other colleague whose girl left him to marry another man, and she told me that love conquers. This was not a Christian speaking, but I remember that even the Bible says love conquers a multitude of sins. Now, love conquers. Love is a powerful force, which, when in place, will kill off anything. I was in a relationship before with a young lady, and it was not really working well, but I was ready to fight it out. I saw red flags, but I was ready to see if there'll be a change. And I told this girl, let's go for prayers, let's go for counseling, let's try to see. So thank God I saw the red flags early. I didn't have to wait till it was. I went to her parents and did the nitty gritty before breaking up. By the time I told her that we should go to pray, we should do some things, and I saw that her body language was not in my. I knew very early enough that this was not a part to two. So I discreetly called it off in a way that every party went and, amicably their own separate ways. So I know that a lot of people will have an array of girls, an array of guys, and they will start flirting with one and then keep one as their main one. That main one now will be tending towards marriage. They see red flags. They should do the right thing. They wouldn't do. They will try to be copy, maybe because he's finer than the others, richer than the others. They want to enjoy the good that he has instead of trying to nip or hit the nail on the head and try to call out the excesses and see if actually there is something that could be mended. They will try to enjoy the money he's giving them, try to enjoy the good looks he has over the other ones. They try to check the advantage. But then at the end of the day, when they go to the prophets and all the seers, and then they tell them this, by then a lot of damage would have been done, and that and maybe the other person will now discover that, oh, you have many guys in your life, you're doing tinini tanana, and a lot of things, a lot of mistrust, a lot of things will now creeping. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that instead of dating guy A, guy B, guy C onto guy Z, and trying to do tinini tanana with your life from a tender age, you need to know what you want. My fiancée said something to me that really startled me one day. She said she's been praying to God for a guy that fears God, for a guy who's loving, for a particular guy, a guy that will really be sensitive to feelings, a guy who would not just be all about wanting her body, or all about just trying to, somebody who really has that. And I like that, because most girls her age are all about just maybe what they can get, what the guy has, whether he lives in the posh house, a flashy car, and all that. And particularly because the lady had a lot of bigger guys who came around her, but she seemed to know what she wanted, and that really helped me, because I also knew what I wanted. Now, the first thing to do before you even delve into it, my pastor says that you must find your purpose. And I believe, and I pick that. You must know what God wants you to do. You must know where you are headed. You must know where your mission in life. That will shape you as to how you pick, where to pick. You will know